Howdy lovelies, how are you all doing? Welcome back to our crafting where we learn, grow and craft together. In today's session, we will continue with the art journal, which is in the circular shape. And I think for today, we are going to do something very simple. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be intricate to be beautiful. Art is all around us and it is whatever you make it. Nobody can tell you that you've done it wrong. Nobody can tell you that it's a flop. It's yours. That's the beauty of an art journal. So let's dive right into it. So for this session, I want to use this purple disc. Remember, we cut all of these from cardstock and I just traced it with a paper plate. So you don't always have to have fancy tools. And as my series and also the tips and tricks as the randoms are all focused on the beginner, I try to make it as simple as possible, because when you start out with a new craft, you, one, don't have all the tools, two, maybe not the resources as well to acquire those. So there's many ways to do this, and no right or wrong way. I just want to emphasize that yes, tools make it so much easier, and because it is time consuming if you don't have the tools, it might just dampen the joy of it. But if you persevere and you get yourself acquainted with what you're using, it sometimes goes a little bit faster. The idea is that I want to get some, you know that I love circles, and that's why we have the circle shape. I want to get something going here. So I want to try something, and I'm going to not waste too much paper. Oops, I moved this again. Sorry, just bear with me. I'm going to trace this as closely as I can to the edge, and you will think, what in the world am I doing? Well, you can do this if you have like one of those fancy cutting machines, Cameo, Precut, Brothers, whatever. The idea is to just get the size of the circle, and I will be working a little bit backwards, you might say. So grabbing my pair of scissors, I'm going to just cut this out. This is not quite a circle there. I put it too close to the edge. Just hold it so that it doesn't move. And you know, I never throw away paper when I'm done. Parts of it will be used in collages, maybe in some clusters, cutting circles. Those I normally use a punch, though I need to get some more punches as my 2.5, I think it is, and my 2 and 2.5 inch punches just don't want to cut anymore. They do punch through cardstock still, but not paper anymore. It chews it or just cut half of it. So this will be put to one side and will be used in a later project. Now for this, I might use another one, but it could be from here. For one of this, I am going to measure from here, and I will cut it out, all 3 of them, so that I have some rings for later projects. So basically, I just want to draw a line on the inside. It doesn't have to be perfect, though I prefer if it will be. So I'm going to measure about, say, 1.5 centimeters in. Now I should have make it an inch. I think an inch will help, but no, inch is too wide. I said originally 1.5. So I'm just going to do that, work on 12. I know years back, when I just started with scrapbooking, you had, I can't remember even who designed it, but it almost looks like a washer, if I can give you a visual, and you would just slide it so it would help you to trace it. So what you will do is you will line it up with this and you will just drag it around. So this will take a little while, so I will be measuring out my circles and then I will come back to you. So I've measured out 3 rings from here. The 3 circles are on top of each other. No color preference of which I will be using. I just want to add it to the disc here. So to start with the cutting process, I will be using my craft knife and just make a little slit for myself so I can fit my pair of scissors in and start cutting out. I might have to cut a smaller. So let's get started with this. And I moved it now, so I hope I will be able to fit the pair of scissors in there. Maybe not completely so. Just a bigger slit for this outside one. I know the idea is not to get it perfect. You could alternatively just paint the rings on, but because it's colored, If it was white, it would be a better effect, but I just decided to cut out paper and then we will be gluing it down. So, no, it doesn't have to be perfect. I just measured on 1.5 centimeters as 2 inches were just too wide. And this is not a very big circle to start off with. So there's the first. Now to just increase that so I can fit a pair of scissors in, let's do that with this one too. There's a bit of a shark's tooth there, but it's okay. We just trim it. And then I just want to see more or less. This is about 8.5 in diameter inches. Oops, let me turn it just this way. So that's about 3.5. So that's okay. That is the size of my one punch. So let's see how this goes. This I will put one side. Just close. If we add one of these, it will almost close up the rings, which is not a problem. And then I want some of that purple to shine through. And if I use that, it might just be a little bit too big. Sorry, the yellow one. As that falls in there. That can work. That can work. I want to just trim this down a tiny little bit. And I'm taking the easy way out. And this is where embracing imperfection comes in handy. Don't throw that, might be useful. I'll just turn it over, otherwise I see the pencil marks in there. Now that is a little bit better. I like that look more with some of that purple shining through. I'll do the same with the orange. Just trim it also a tiny little bit. And then I'll do the same with the yellow as well. So I'm going to get some glue, and for this I will be using some liquid glue, which is one of my favorites, Aleene's. You can use Fabri-Tac, Art Glitter, whatever is available to you. Don't feel you have to use the exact same products as that I use. It might not be readily available to you, hence why I am using Aleene's. That's what is available here. I have been looking at reviews of Art Glitter Glue. Many good reviews, but I have to basically import it. And no, I'm not paying a lot of money for a bottle of glue because it's a staple in the craft room. And I just believe glue should not be that pricey. Now, I just want to make sure that I leave a bit of space. There we go. Start from this side, lift it up, and there we have that. The first one is down. Now the orange one, and then we will trim down the... I just want to see which one has got the pencil marks on. But it was only the pink that had it, as that was the top layer. So just then you can use normal glue stick if you want to. Collage matte medium would have worked as well. Mod Podge 2. Whatever is your preferred glue. Use that. Because if you're comfortable with the products that you're using, you will also enjoy your craft sessions so much more. More or less in the middle. If you painted this, the whole idea is that it is not perfect circles. It should not be perfect. And hand painted, I would just suggest a light color like white or a pastel background so that you can still see the paint effect. Now for this one, I don't want to fold it completely. I wonder, I don't have a big enough object to just cut this down. Maybe this can work. Or maybe it's just a little bit too small. What I'll do is I will use the pink and the yellow so that I can get another ring in there. I'll do that and just trim both of them down. So let's see if I can trace this circle. Yes, I could have gone to the kitchen and got some crockery maybe. That could have worked as well. Just to get some things that fit into each other, that could have worked as well. I'm going to put a quote in the middle center circle. So, handwritten, you can type it up, you can stamp it if you so wish. And I just want to trim this now so that it is a little bit more even. And I'll just use the distance. You can measure if you want to, but honestly, it doesn't have to be perfect. Hence, me cutting it just freehand, no measurement. And yes, if you keep on cutting, it will get a whole lot smaller. That can work. Kind of like that. Just turn it over so the pencil marks. Oh, that is very risky to glue on your project. I have ruined projects so many times because if glue dries, it makes this sheen on the project. So, let's see. Let's see. And now, that one still needs to be a tiny little bit smaller. I just want to see if that is fitting in there. I won't see too much of the purple. So I will also try and trim this one down just that tiny little bit. So tracing a circle that will show off some of that purple. And then just having to open up this so I can fit a pair of scissors in. That, and we can put this in. I just want to have a ring of yellow, so I will trim one of those down as well. I just want to add for this one though, I will use just a glue stick. I don't want it to warp. You can see there's a bit of warping, bubbles forming underneath. I don't completely want to have that, so I'll also burnish that with a little card. That way we know it's flat without any bubbles forming. Now to get this other ring of yellow sized, not that one, so it must be this one then. We'll do the same process, but this time I need to do it on both sides. So just in half and in quarters, just roughly. I'll cut a bit off this side, not too much, otherwise it will be really thin. And then from the inside, I just check. I've got myself confused now. Yes, the inside needs to get trimmed as well. Not much. You don't need to trim too much off there. And yes, you could have gone ahead with any of those trimmers that you get, electronic. I just want to get this one sorted, as that is a bit skew. Not that you will ever get it perfect cutting it freehand. So I'm going to use liquid glue for this as well, as it is just a bit easier. I'll trim this a little bit more though. It looks a bit wider on this side. I think it's where, there we go, just a little bit off there. And glue, let's do a bit of glue. Yes, I'm going for the liquid glue again, to try and put glue on this, glue stick on this. And there I am on my project yet again. Just be careful, otherwise you sit with a glue blob on our project, and we don't want that. A little bit of yellow, we'll reposition it. Just start from one side and smooth it out so that it can fit. I think there we have it. This one is lifting up a bit on the edge, so tiny bit of glue there. And while the glue is still wet, you can just erase it and it comes off nicely. So a nice little trick for you. A tip that is quite useful. Alright, so we've got those. That will be left for another project. As with this, in my other journal, that I don't always, well, I've never filmed. I did take photos of it before, showing some other pages that I've made. So in here, I want to put a quote, and that will be handwritten. Let me just get the glues closed. Now for that quote, I'm going to use a permanent marker to write it on, and I will be doing it there. Hopefully it will all fit in nicely. So to add the quote, we first have to establish where the holes are, where we need to bind this. So I'm going to repunch those, just so that we know where they are. Not too big. Let me just get the tool out that we need for that. I just need to see which did I use. I think it was this. Just position it over that again. Oh, it is the bigger one. So let me just repunch that. There we go. And that way we know we can add the quote where it should be, and we can see the holes. So when I'm ready to bind this, I will then add the eyelets. You will remember I started adding eyelets, and then I decided, no, once I'm done completing the journal, I will then add the eyelets before I bind it. So I want to add a simple handwritten quote, and I'm thinking about using a bit of purple and orange. White would also kind of be really cute. Let's take some black. Let's see where this is going. It's all perspective. Let's see. So if you don't like your own handwriting, you can stamp anything, a quote from a magazine, any magazine clippings, newspaper. You can stamp it on, you can print it, and do it in a word processing program. Print it, cut it out, and glue it on. You can then print it directly onto the color that you want to use. It's really up to you. If you've got a quote, maybe you bought it commercially, you can add that. It can be across the page. It's what you want it to be. So if you want to make sure that it fits in, you can first write it just sort of with pencil. You can rub it out afterwards. And I just want to add that, and I will do it with, I need this a little bit closer, so I have a bit of the mid-range of the circle to write the longer word. Right, I want to try and do this with a different color as well. So let me just, there we go, Posca paint pen. And then the last bit, I think, just to tie it all together, I will write the word perspective in purple. This is maybe a bit thick. The tip, a finer tip would have probably worked better to get it fitting in here nicely. So there we have that. And you can see the pencil there, but not a train smash. I want to add a few dots here and there. Just, I took that away, and I normally just test the ink flow first. Let's do a few dots just to brighten this up, as if it needs more brightening up. It's quite colorful already, but white is really a very good element to add to any project, even if it's not part of your color scheme. And for this side, I want to do a bit of dashes in black, just because we can. And yes, it's hand-drawn. No stencil used for that. You can sew on this if you so wish, whether that's machine stitching or hand sewing. Doesn't matter. It can be, and look what I just did. I smeared that. How sad is that? I just smashed my project. How awful, because the paint wasn't dry yet. I didn't even think about it at the time. I just put my fingers down. Let's see if we can maybe, just maybe try and rectify that little boo-boo. A bit of hand sanitizer. Let's see if I will now make a bigger mess than I had already. That will evaporate. Let's try the eraser. It's dry already, so it's improving. Won't be completely fixed, but it will look a little bit better. It's going lighter, but not too much because it dried already. And I put my fingers on there again. So, you know how many times I've done that before? Won't look too bad. Let's just redo those two dots. And that one, then it looks, it's okay. Let's just try before I smear it yet again. And maybe we can just do a little bit of a ring. And yes, I'm going to freehand this around it. I don't want this circle to be perfect. And I'm going into the wide, going into that wide. Now here, let's start. Just adding patterns around. You can skip it all together. If you have tiny stamps, you could add that if you so wish. It's just having a bit of play. maybe a bit of purple on the orange. Let's see. I must just be careful now. I don't want to have that messed up. Just a band of purple. I don't want to repeat of where I smudged the white. I might be a bit out of view for you at the bottom. No, I don't want it perfect. I want some of that orange to shine through or peek through. And the same this side. I will leave a little bit more there just to harness this black scribble in the middle. So you can doodle whatever you want. You can skip the doodling. Yes, once this is dry, I will just bend it over because paper has got no memory and it can reshape with a bit of our help. So just making basic mark making to just add a bit of detail to the layout. Simple dots and little lines. It's optional. You don't have to add any patterns there. I just want to add a bit of white still on that orange in the middle. I don't want to smear the purple now. I think a bit of a bigger dot. Just hold the pen a tiny little bit more. Don't press down on it so that you have paint blotches running out. You just want to have a bigger polka dot. You can use Q-tips and white acrylic paint. Of course, your dot will be bigger. Or you can use some dot tools for the same type of effect. A rubber pencil with an eraser dipped into paint can also work. I want to add a bit of black, so I'm going to use the fine tip. And just along that outside edge, just making little dashes for a bit of added detail. And as always, it's optional. You don't have to. You can ink it, you can paint it, you can run a marker pen across. Any type of mark making would work, or as I said, you can skip it altogether. The paint should be drying, but I'm just being a little bit careful so that I don't smudge it again. And I think we are done. And just bend it over a bit so that it can go flat. And there we have it. Thank you for joining me today. Go try and work in your art journal, whether that's a square, a rectangle, a pre-bounded book, or if you are copying me. And if you do, please tag Wobble Crafting on social media. If you want to see more content like this, give me a thumbs up. And as always, I'll appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel too. See you back soon. Goodbye.